Water reclamation, formerly known as sewer plants, are the plants in cities or towns that clean the wastewater to a cleanliness that you can discharge into a river so the next community can use the water and it's clean. The fish, the environment, all can use that water after we've used it. So we take water out of Lake Thunderbird, we treat it high quality and then send that to town, and our people consume it, drink it, right? And then as we use that water, then it ends up in the wastewater, which goes down to our water reclamation facility. And there, currently, we're treating it and letting it go into the river for other communities or someone else to use, right? So what we're thinking is, can you recycle water? Absolutely, you can. Everyone else is recycling water, eventually. But we said, can you intend to recycle your water and actually treat it to a high quality standard that you'd feel comfortable to put it back in your Lake Thunderbird and do the full rotation cycle where you bring that water back again to the water treatment plant and reconsume it. The good things about recycling water would be it's drought proof or very drought proof. So those are some of the things we could augment the lake and try to secure our lake water supply by being able to take some of that water, high advanced treated water, and running it back to the lake. Our city applied for a Bureau of Reclamation grant and received a $700,000 grant to do this advanced pilot study to see, could you retreat that water to a high quality to be able to put it back into Lake Thunderbird. And so we used ozone biofiltration, UV hydrogen peroxide to knock those chemicals down, and it was very successful. We're going through the data now and should have a report soon, final report that we'll share with everyone, showing that it was very successful. In addition to that, OU's Dr. Nairn came in through the National Science Foundation with a grant and wanted to do some work on studying wetlands treatment and what effects it could do on CECs, contaminants emerging concern, and how it might play in some of the treatment of our effluent before we could put it back in the lake also.
So we're happy to be working with the City of Norman on a project to examine some options for indirect potable reuse. The City of Norman obviously has water quality and water quantity challenges. And one of the ideas on the table, one of the things that's being explored, is the potential to reuse our treated wastewater at the Norman Water Reclamation Facility and reuse it back into our drinking water supply. So to return that water to Lake Thunderbird. One of the potential ideas to address some water quality concerns are using treatment wetlands. So these are a nature-based solution that my team at the University of Oklahoma has worked on for a number of years for a number of different types of water, but we would maximize naturally occurring processes that could help address some of the constituents in the water that we want to be aware of, we want to remove before we send it back into the reservoir. What we are doing right now in cooperation with the Norman Water Reclamation Facility and the Utilities Department is examining these ideas in 52 small wetland mesocosms at the NWRF. We're taking the treated effluent and we're putting it through these different wetland designs, different ways for the water to flow through the wetlands, different plantings of vegetation, to try to examine the biological and the chemical and the physical processes that could address some of the constituents in the wastewater. Those wetland mesocosms are constructed, they're in place. I have a number of graduate students that are working on that project. It's funded by the National Science Foundation, so this is part of a much larger project that includes faculty from all across OU and Oklahoma State and other universities to examine water, carbon, and climate and infrastructure challenges across the state.
We do an excellent job. Our crews work 24/7, 365 days a year. Our water treatment plant staff is doing an excellent job, makes very good quality, safe water, safe to drink. We meet or exceed all rules. And then at our water reclamation facility, that gang does a great job also of treating that water to a high quality. We meet or exceed our permit standards before we put it back into the river. And we just saw that as an opportunity. We're doing it such a nice job cleaning that water to such a clean standard. Is there a way we could recycle that water and reuse it ourselves versus putting it in the river and letting it go to Lake Eufaula and eventually onto the Gulf?
And when we talk about the water cycle, one of the points I make is that all the water we have on the planet right now is all the water we ever had, and it's all the water we're ever going to have. So this idea of reuse of water, whether we're aware of it or not, has been going on forever. What we're talking about here is a planned, managed, engineered reuse. These ideas are out there. They've been proven to be effective in other cases. That doesn't mean that we don't need to do our due diligence in Norman. We certainly do, and we need to understand the intricacies of the treatment process, whether that's something conventional or whether that's the new idea of utilizing nature-based solutions like wetlands to make it happen. But I think not considering it is not an option. We have to consider this. Norman is growing. In the time that I've lived here, our population has increased dramatically. 25 years ago, I think there were about 80,000 people in Norman. We're a growing community, and that's not something anybody wants to necessarily stop, but every new person, every new facility needs water. And again, all the water that's ever been on the planet is all the water that we've ever had, and it's all the water we're ever going to have.